Hello, hello, hello. How is everyone doing today? Thank you for hanging out with me on the Her Version podcast. I am here live. We are jumping into the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial. I am behind and ahead at the same time. I've been listening to it in my ears during the course of my calls and my clients and future podcast guests. However, I'm not quite caught up. So I am bringing you on where I am, which is behind, but still not from the very beginning. So the reason that I am deciding to show this trial live and do live commentary is because of my own story. When I was in my abusive relationship for literally the first 8 years, I had absolutely no idea that I was in an abusive relationship because he was not hitting me. And what I'm really finding interesting throughout this trial is the constant repeating between Amber and Johnny that neither one of them, even though there was physical abuse happening, really understood that this was wrong and that this was abuse. So it's really just to highlight that this is wrong behavior. Everyone listening believes it's wrong behavior. Everyone listening believes this is toxic. In order to really penetrate the minds of those in our nation, in our world, who are dealing with relationships like this, whether it's your husband or whether it's your wife, and kind of questioning yourself of, is this wrong? One of the biggest things that I continued to ask myself during my abusive relationship, he never hit me, like I said, but I was constantly asking, is this normal? He said this, is it normal? He's doing this, is it normal? And although he wasn't physically hitting me, he would punch things, he would throw things with so much anger and so much force. And the trauma now that I'm dealing with mentally and emotionally is just insane. The after effects are just as traumatizing as while you're living there sometimes. And also to highlight the importance of, to the mothers out there who have children. And again, I dealt, for those of you that know my story, I was in an abusive relationship where financial abuse was very, very evident. I have a now 18-year-old son who back then was a child, like a child. And finance, I had no money. I had absolutely no money. And I had to open up a secret bank account. I had to start online secret businesses. I had to do what it took to be able to play the role of a submissive woman within a home and create an escape plan to leave. And it took me years. It took me over 4 years, or at least 4 years, to collect the amount of money that I needed to be able to leave that situation. So what I'm urging people to do right now is to create a plan. It's not that you have to leave right now. Obviously, if you're getting hit, that's one thing. There's homes, there's domestic hotline phone numbers, there is shelters, and then there's also the option of creating an actual escape plan, which was my option because I was not in any immediate danger physically where one of us would be forever hurt or killed or something like that. However, taking the time to actually create that and what that would look like and how long it will take are things that really need to start to happen if you see signs like this going on in your home. Okay, so I am going to go live here. Oh, I didn't set it up beforehand. Let's see how I do this. Share screen, Chrome, Johnny Depp, and play. Oop, still not right. Let's see if I can get this to go bigger, maybe. Yes. So, like I said, if you're seeing signs like this, gaslighting, manipulation, name calling, obviously hitting. These are all signs, even if you're not like hurt, even if you're not bleeding. These are all signs of being in a relationship that you do not need to be in. If your spouse is constantly putting you down, if they're constantly demoralizing you, if they're constantly making you feel silly or stupid or dumb, or rip on your intelligence on a daily or weekly basis. These are things that are not helping you rise as a person. They're keeping you down. They're lowering your self-esteem. These are all things that should not be done in a loving relationship. And these are the kinds of things that I didn't recognize. I didn't know that there was relationships where people actually appreciate and respect and love each other and don't demoralize or put each other down. So when you're watching things like this, if any of this is triggering you, if any of it is a reflection of something that you are dealing with inside your relationship, it's really something to take to heart, really something that you need to look into, see a therapist, go to counseling, or create some sort of an escape plan. Go see a divorce attorney to exit this relationship. This right here is real proof that everybody believes that what is going on right now between the both of these two people is extremely toxic, extremely toxic. And even if you take out the physical part on whether or not Johnny hit her or didn't hit her, the tactics that are being used, slamming things, throwing things, breaking things, the derogatoriness that is going back and forth between the two of them consistently throughout all of these recordings are all things that are toxic, that are abusive, and that should not be done in a loving, committed relationship. So very, very important to make sure. Ooh, is it starting? Very, very important to make sure that you're cognizant of that. I don't know if this is that I can't hear it. Or if she definitely looks upset. So this morning she has been recounting a lot of stuff. We're coming in after the second break here. But she's been just basically reiterating a lot of the stuff that she has already said previously in last week's trial. She is rehashing a lot of it and going into more stories.
That he effectively stood me up on the carpet.
Who did you meet at the Met Gala?
I was standing in line right in front of a gentleman. It was Elon. I didn't recognize him until we started talking, and he had reminded me that we had met once before. He was with his mother.
And did you strike up a friendship with Mr. Musk after that?
We did. We, as I mentioned, we spoke on the red carpet, kind of on the waiting line of the carpet. He seemed like a real gentleman. He was really nice, and he sat next to me. Well, not next to me. He sat kind of at a nearby table, and we got to speaking that night, and then eventually became friends.
Okay. I'm going to, Michelle, can you pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 46? It's already in evidence. It's Aaron Fellotti's notes. And I'm going to ask you to go to page 30. And I'm going to direct your attention to the entry for 5/11/2016, where it says, if I can see, here we go. Let me see if I can do some reasonable highlighting here. Okay, it says client laughed and also reported using illicit drugs, mushrooms and MDMA on 5/9/2016 at home with a high-profile male acquaintance. Client reported that her husband was not aware of the male visitor nor her illicit drug use. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
Who was the high-profile male acquaintance that visited your home on 5/9/2016?
I don't recall even being in LA at that time. I believe I was in London at the time.
Okay. Did you have a male high-profile client at your home in or around 5/9/2016?
Not around that date. It seems like it's a wrong date.
Okay. And did you use illicit drugs, mushrooms, and MDMA with any high-profile client?
No, I did that at the Coachella Music Festival, and that was the end of that. I learned the hard way that that was a terrible idea.
All right. Well, while we are on these same notes, I'm going to refer to the Coachella, which is up above, and it says it states she ingested mushrooms and MDMA simultaneously while also consuming alcohol, and states she vomited and was high for at least 24 hours straight. Were you high for at least 24 hours straight?
No, I was not. I felt awful, but I was at home feeling awful. At home, meaning at the hotel, with my best friend in bed.
Okay. Well, while I'm still on these notes, let's go. I know while Aaron Fellotti was testifying, we recall the 5/21/2016 isn't on here. You'd sent her pictures, correct?
Yes, I
Okay.
did.
Then let's go to 5/26/2016. And it says, client reports having the hardest week of my life. Client states she cannot deal with the negative media publicity she has received. And then if we can jump that up, Michelle, to the next page, surrounding the divorce she requested from her husband, JD. Do you see that?
I do.
Okay. When did you go in for the Dvtro?
May 27th.
So that
after
was
this.
the day after Aaron Fellotti's note saying you just had the toughest week of your life?
That's correct.
Okay. While we are still on this one, let's go up to the first page for the client history. When did you provide a client history to Aaron Fellotti?
Never.
When did you first get assigned Aaron Fellotti?
I believe September of 2014.
Okay. Now it says here that client reports a history of substance abuse, including an addiction to cocaine and liquor. When did you have a history of substance abuse, including addiction to cocaine and liquor?
I did not. There's a lot of mistakes in here.
Okay. Did you ever use cocaine?
I have. I used cocaine a few times when I was 18, 19 years old, but stopped using any drugs, including cocaine, when I got into a relationship with my ex-partner. She was very against that, and I'm glad for it.
Okay. Then it also says here that where am I? Move up a little. Here we go. Client admits to history of anxiety, eating disorder, attention deficit disorder, bipolar disorder, codependence issues, and occasional insomnia. When have you had an eating disorder?
I've never had an eating disorder.
When have you been diagnosed with bipolar disorder?
I've never been diagnosed with bipolar disorder.
When have you been diagnosed with codependence issues?
I have never been
diagnosed with codependency issues, although arguably at the time
from where I stand now, I'm not sure if I was in with Johnny was certainly codependent.
100%
But I wouldn't have
codependent.
reported that at the time. I didn't know about that.
All
You
right,
can't
all
get
right. Can we
diagnosed with
move
something
on?
unless you
Yeah,
actually
Michelle?
go see somebody, though.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It has,
Per report from JD, Debbie RN, Dr. Kipper, Client AH has reportedly been experiencing increased anxiety and agitation recently and has had several outbursts of anger.
Why
and
would
rage.
anybody go
Were you
willingly
present for this
someplace
being reported to Ms. Fellotti?
on their own to
No,
see if
this
they
is the
have
detox.
Okay.
This
a
is
lot of
Johnny's-
people? At the point of all
And
of
it
this,
also says
she's
your mood has been
probably
labile.
25
What
to
if
28 years old,
Outbursts of anger,
She's not,
rage,
like,
and labile mood
cognitively
did you exhibit during the detox?
capable of doing that
None
right
that she
now at
would have
this
seen.
age.
None. I was there for Johnny's detox. This is what Johnny was going through. This is not me.
And at the time of the detox,
Is there still an
was
echo?
Erin Fellotti your nurse yet?
No,
Jane,
I didn't
is there
know her,
still an
and She
echo?
wasn't there.
Okay. Thank you very much. You can take this down, Michelle. Now, I'm going to take you to May 21, 2016, and I'd like you to describe for the jury what took place
Thank
that
you.
evening in connection with Mr. Depp.
Johnny and I had not seen each other for the better part of a month, or about a month. I was traveling. I had just shot a campaign in Italy. I spoke to him around that time when I was in Italy. I had gotten a phone. My parents got a hold of me. After I spoke to my parents, I communicated with Johnny. He, on that phone call, I didn't know what was going on with him for those weeks. With his sobriety, I didn't know where his state was. I didn't know what state he was in. And when I spoke to him, he was saying what I can only just, he was going on about scientists and DNA and feces, that he had some scientific analysis done and DNA analysis done, and that as soon as I heard about this feces, he thought that was a prank, and he was going on about all the scientists that he had conferred about the DNA results with. Just thought he was out of his mind, and thought clearly the drinking and the drugs are not getting better. Clearly the delusions aren't better. So
Objection calls for speculation.
It's not up to prove the truth of the matter. We're talking about what her,
I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
please continue.
So I hung up from that phone call, assuming that, and then spoke to him once my parents got a hold of me to tell me about Betty Sue. We made a plan, Johnny and I, for him to come over. He said he really needed his wife. He had lost his mother and he missed his wife. He really needed his wife. He said it over and over again. I felt torn. I felt conflicted. I didn't think, obviously, the situation hadn't gotten better with Johnny mentally, and I was afraid that all the work and progress and distance I had finally got on the relationship for the first time. I had a month of distance on it, I didn't want that to be undone, but I also wanted to be, I was affected by the fact that his mother had passed. So he said he wanted to come over and talk about that, and he said he needed his wife, and we made a plan. We made a plan for him to come over during the day, thinking that might mitigate the amount that he would be drinking. Night is a little bit more dangerous. And in the early evening hours, I get a text from him that he's almost there, or that he's there. I think it was around 7:15 or so. And he came over, and we sat on the couch, and at first it was relatively peaceful. I mean, I could tell he was inebriated, but makes sense. In my head, it made sense. He wasn't like incoherent. It was peaceful. And then he starts talking about the feces again, and this prank that he said one of my friends had left for him in my bed that he wasn't going to be at. And I tried to point out how that didn't make any sense. I'm not even going to be there. I wasn't there. And my friends wouldn't do that. That's not something a bunch of 30-year-old women think is funny. What is he talking about? And he just kept going on and on about it. So I text my friend that it's
Objection, hearsay. Don't tell us. Don't tell.
How does everyone take this?
Go to the next thing. What did you do next?
Amber Heard supposedly left
my
dog
friend
doo-doo
thinking that it
or
would,
human doo-doo on the bed.
Well, this what I could only see as a delusion.
She's saying
a delusion
it's a
he's having,
delusion.
And I thought, oh, I'll hopefully,
But I
quell
thought there
this
was a
by calling
picture.
my friend to if he hears my friend say that didn't happen.
Objection,
maybe
Your Honor,
we can-
hearsay. It's not out for the truth of it. Thank you. Please continue.
So I thought if I could get my friend on the phone to prove that this didn't happen, we could move on and talk about the issues that we should be talking about. We had, our marriage was over and falling apart in front of our eyes. We hadn't seen each other for a month, and his mom had just passed.
Are we
I couldn't
believing
believe
this?
He wanted to talk about feces.
This sounds kind of believable.
So I
I don't
call
really
this
see
friend
her
thinking
putting
that we'll
poop on a bed.
take care of it. The friend doesn't answer. I call another friend who is someone else he claimed. I don't know how both people did this, but he was claiming that this person was responsible. So I called that person. And that person is on speakerphone.
Okay.
And I
Tell us
say,
who that person is.
Io.
Io, tell it right.
Io, tell it right.
Okay. And then
That's
you
the
put him on
person's name?
speakerphone with Johnny.
Right in front of Johnny.
Okay.
Okay.
And what happened next?
What happened?
I allowed for an opportunity for Io to say why this is impossible.
Objection,
That
hearsay. It's not offered to prove the truth of the matter, is asserted, Your Honor. It's explaining the context that leads to the next acts.
Your Honor, it is being offered
We're
to
not
prove
here. We're not here about whether Io.
I'll sustain
on
the
the bed.
objection. Next question.
All right.
Dude, this freaking girl
All right,
keeps
so
calling.
Io is talking. You can't tell us what he said.
Ah!
Objection, Your Honor.
Correct?
May we approach?
Okay.
Oh my God. Dude, this little chick continues all morning. She kept calling. This girl is amazing at calling. She doesn't give a crap, dude. She's getting pissed.
Io is talking. We can't say what he said. What is the next thing that happens on your end with Mr. Depp?
So many
It
rules.
just made Johnny madder. He got more upset, grabbed the phone, and started screaming at Io. He just started screaming at the top of his lungs, said, "You dyke bitch, you don't know your talk," just screaming expletives, insulting names. And
Are we going to
telling
talk to Io?
that he can have me and, fuck off, and just screaming at him. That's best I can describe it without getting into the details. He tosses the phone, down on the couch.
I'm
and
eating all
heads
the popcorn.
upstairs. I pick up the phone and try to, apologize for the fact that my husband at the time just screamed at my friend on a cold call. I didn't want Io to think that's why I had called Io.
Io
to just be screamed at and blamed for something that
was
sounded
blamed
crazy.
for
For lack of a
putting
better explanation, it
the
sounded
poop
crazy.
on the bed.
Io.
So Amber's calling
said
Io.
something to me on speakerphone, and reminded me I wasn't safe.
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
Your Honor, it's not offered to prove the truth of the matter. It's to show what caused Mr. Depp to be set off and come back. I mean, it's not offered to prove the truth of what he's saying. It's not hearsay.
I'll overrule the objection. Go ahead.
Thank you. Please tell us what Io said. and
Dude,
what then
she's
happened
getting
with Mr. Depp.
pissed at this girl.
Io said, "Amber, get out of the house. Get out of the house now. You're not safe. Get out of that house." Io had been there
after the cleanup or for the cleanup after December 15th, 2015 incident. And
Objection, Your Honor,
blood out
not
of my
responsive.
pillowcases.
All right.
I think she could provide the
I'll
context.
sustain the objection. Next question.
So please continue.
Johnny hears this when he's on the stairs. He made it up one flight of stairs. Heard this, turned around, came bolting down the stairs, grabbed the phone from my hand, and really started screaming this time. Lit into IO, called IO every imaginable horrible name that you can say to a LGBTQIA person, for one, and any person, any human being ever. I mean, just screamed at IO. Some really nasty stuff. And when he was done, he says, you know,
Johnny Depp brought it
you
up.
want to have my woman now. You want to have my bitch. You can
There
have,
was
you take her.
a
You can
poop
have
on the
her.
bed.
And he, with that, picks up, just
Johnny
pulls his
thinks it
arm
was a
back
human
with the
poop.
phone,
Amber saying it
throws
never
it
happened.
at my face. Hit me right in it felt like my eye. I put my head in my hands and immediately start crying. I said, you hit me with the phone. Johnny, you hit me. And I'm sitting on the couch. I didn't even have time to react, you know. I didn't even have time to put my hands up. I was still sitting cross-legged in my socks on the couch, and I haven't seen him for a month. And several times now that I've seen him, he's hit me, and I didn't even have time
to react to this. He comes over to me as I'm crying, and he does that taunting thing to me. He says, "Oh yeah, I hit you, huh? I hit you, yeah?" And he just feels like whacks me on top of my head. Just this heavy ringed hand landed on top of my skull, grabs me by the hair, yanks me up off the couch. I'm struggling to stand up. And I don't know if he was intending to hit me in the face or if he was just trying to grab my face, but he was making this gesture around my face to try to expose my face to him. And he was like, "Yeah, let me see how bad I hurt you. Let me see it. Let me see how bad I hurt you this time. What if I pull your hair back? What if I pull your hair back?" And he yanks my hair back. I'm trying to prevent him from landing the blows to my face. I'm trying to prevent my face from being exposed. And I just remember this mocking taunt he was doing with me as he is yanking me around the room. And then I hear my friend come into the room. I hear her. Johnny hears her too. He lets go of me and turns. And
Just tell the jury who your friend is.
Raquel, my best friend at the time, who lived in the neighboring apartment, she came in, and Johnny moved towards her, and she ran towards me. Johnny looked at her, looked at me. I retreated to the only place I had to go, which is the corner room where the couch was. I retreated kind of to the couch, and Raquel and Johnny both ran up to me. Raquel got in front of Johnny. She kind of managed to get right in front of him, in between he and I. And I'll never forget it. Just very slowly, calm, in just a very
slow but very concentrated, very controlled, slow way. Just put both of her arms, her hands up like this. And like I've seen people do with horses, that's what it reminded me of. She just went, "No, no, Johnny, no." And she just got in front of us, in between us, put both of her palms out. Johnny kind of squared off to her, ran into her arms, and she just repeated herself very slowly, very calmly, very directly.
That's very
both of her arms
detailed.
off of his chest like that, and barreled towards me. I instinctively curl up on the couch, and I just feel her arms come around me, next to me. She was sitting on my left, next to me on the couch. I just feel her arms around me. And I'm just looking down at the carpet, feeling her arms. And that's when Johnny, who I can see partially and hear, is right in front of me, and he's screaming at me to get the fuck up. Amber, get the fuck up. Amber, get the fuck up.
I hope this
Amber,
girl
get the fuck up.
is going to
Every
testify.
single time he said it, he's screaming it louder and louder and louder. I think he screamed it probably about 10 times, so loudly.
Wow.
Next thing I hear is boss, boss. And I realize that
His 2 security guards had come into the apartment after Raquel. I see them and hear them, and Johnny turns to them, and I see Jerry say, boss, boss. And I get up off the couch and I say to Jerry,
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
Not offered to prove the truth of the matter asserted at all.
I'll sustain the objection.
All right.
Next one.
So don't tell us what you said to Jerry, just what happened next.
then they tell him something. And he picks up the bottle that I guess he walked in with. It was a
This is
Magnum.
Mr. Depp or Jerry?
I'm sorry, Johnny.
Okay.
And starts smashing things off the nightstand, the coffee table, starts screaming. And they kind of, I feel them kind of corral him. I'm not making direct eye contact, but I can kind of just sense and feel and sound and hear things smashing as he exits the apartment, kind of knocking things off the countertops and breaking things on the way. I realize he's punching something. I assume it was the picture because it broke right after he walked past it. And he leaves that apartment. I hear him in the hallway, still screaming. I hear more doors opening, more racket. Eventually, Josh, Raquel's husband, comes into the room and brings me to safety, brings Raquel and I to safety in their apartment. And that's where I stayed for the next few hours.
So who called the police?
I believe it was
Objection calls for
Io.
speculation.
Your Honor, this is not, we have to have the context here of somebody called the police, because then the police come. So I think we have to put, it's not offered again to prove the truth of the matter asserted. It's just who called the police.
Your Honor, the objection is not hearsay. It's speculation.
Do you know who called the police?
Yes, I do now.
I'll
Okay.
sustain the objection. The
All
next
right.
question.
Did you have were you present when there was a discussion about calling 911?
Objection calls for hearsay.
I'm asking if she was
I'll
present.
sustain the objection. Next question.
Did you call 911?
No.
Okay. Did Rocky call 911?
Objection calls for speculation.
Do you know whether Rocky called 911?
I do know whether she did.
And did
She did not.
All right. So what happens, when did you learn that the police had been called?
Roughly an hour, at some point shortly after Johnny and his security guards left.
And what did you do as a result of knowing that the police were coming?
I felt panicked. I didn't know what to do because I didn't know what they were going to do when they saw the state of the place. He'd also smashed up the other apartment where I kept all my things. So I didn't know what they were going to do. And I panicked. I called the only lawyer I have, which is my entertainment lawyer. He does like my movie contracts and stuff. And I asked him for advice.
And then without telling what he said, what happened next?
I called a domestic relations attorney after that conversation.
And had you known this domestic relations attorney before then?
No, I did not.
Did you get that name from your entertainment attorney?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And when you called the domestic relations attorney, without saying what she said, what did you do as a result?
I told the police officers who arrived that I would not cooperate.
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
Again, not offered to prove the truth of the matter asserted.
All right, I'll overrule the objection. Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
I repeated to the officers, I refuse to cooperate at this time at the advice of my attorney.
Okay. Did you call your publicist that night?
No.
Now, I'm going to ask you to take a look at some pictures, but before I get there, I want to just ask you a couple of questions leading up. What were you doing when the police officers arrived?
At that time, after I learned that they were coming, my best friend took pictures of me. We took pictures of the house and my face.
Okay. I'm going to, and did your best friend take any pictures while the officers were there?
We took pictures before and while they were there and after.
Okay.
We took pictures throughout.
Okay. So I'm going to take you now, Michelle, can you bring up Defendants Exhibit 706? I think we can do the native
On this one, yes, thank you.
Finally, hopefully there's pictures.
Does this accurately depict the scene portrayed?
Yes, it does.
Because this
Your
whole
Honor,
time
to
there's
move the
been
admission of Defendant
barely any
706.
pictures.
No objection.
706 in evidence and published.
And would you please describe to the jury what this is a picture of?
This is my face after Johnny threw a phone at it.
I'm going to now, Michelle, ask you to pull up Defendants 708. And does this accurately depict the scene portrayed in this picture?
Yes, it does.
All right. And I also see that there is a little, what we call metadata item on there. How do you get that on a picture? How does that happen? Can you just describe briefly?
Objection, Your Honor.
Yes.
That's speculation, lack of foundation. Yeah.
No, girl. That's what we were looking for was metadata. Nice. Finally, a picture with a date. I think it's interesting how Amber continues to look at the jury so much. This is what Johnny Depp was not wanting, a picture with metadata proving that it was taken at a certain time. This is what we're waiting for. I was hoping it better be a good one, Amber. It better not be one of these little lousy ones with a little shadow. It's interesting that this is the first time they're talking about the metadata on a picture, though. That leaves a little room for speculation because she's had several. This is probably like the 15th story or more that she's told of serious abuse, and she has very few pictures. Oh, I missed it. Damn it. Dude, I went to go get water for 5 seconds.
Can you please explain how
Hopefully they'll
this
show it again.
particular item on here got onto the pictures?
It was
It's a-
horrible. Oh, okay,
It's
good.
a feature that was on iPhotos, you know, where your pictures are stored on your phone. Typically, you just push info.
And was that pushed in these instances?
I
of
pushed
these pictures?
info, and that's what came up.
Okay. Your Honor, I'm going to move the admission of Defendants 708.
The objection to 708.
Your Honor, I would just ask the picture be redacted on hearsay grounds
Your Honor, I
for the metadata,
Okay, if you want
alleged
to.
metadata.
Okay.
The alleged, girl. This is interesting, though, because this is proving Amber knows about the metadata. She has not given us the metadata for any other picture other than this one. So that's a little skeptical for me, because she could have taken those pictures just randomly when she got a bruise just running into the countertop. And then she's associating those random pictures with altercations she had with Johnny. She's just now providing metadata. She could have pressed the info button on any of those pictures and she didn't. Damn it, I missed the picture. Dude, that little freaking chihuahua in the back is amazing.
Okay, that's fine.
Good for her. A little sus, exactly.
All right, I'm going to move the admission of 708 with the redaction, Your Honor.
Okay, any objection to that?
There still needs to be another redaction at the top, Your Honor.
Okay. Get it. Okay.
Thank you.
I wonder what that means. There was something on the picture that couldn't be shown.
Okay, 708 with the redactions, okay?
Thank you, Your Honor. And I would also like the record to reflect that we're publishing this to the jury.
Yes, no objection, correct?
Okay.
Yes, there we go.
Okay, I would like the record to reflect that this was the photo that was shown to Officer Sines and Officer Haddon.
Objection, Your Honor.
No,
That is,
Your Honor, we
that
couldn't
is
put him in
inappropriate, Your
because
Honor.
we hadn't identified him. Now the jury should be entitled to know which photo
Your Honor,
was
we ask
shown.
that we
as that
approach.
Okay, we can approach.
This
That's fine.
I don't know. I'm still going to say that photo was sus. I don't know if I believe it. When you're arguing with somebody this bad for emotional abuse, this is not saying that Johnny Depp did not emotionally abuse. They emotionally and mentally abused each other, right? This is about physical abuse. That's what this trial is about right here. But I can tell you that I am certain I looked very much like that.
Record, this particular
While
photo
arguing.
was shown to Officer Sines and
Because you're
Officer
so
Haddon
upset.
as Exhibit 24 in both of the depositions that were shown earlier, where the pictures were not allowed to be shown yet because they hadn't been admitted. Amber, will you please describe for the jury what is depicted in this?
She's so fair-skinned.
Yes, that's
I
a
don't know.
picture of my face.
It could be a slap.
That evening,
Yeah,
shortly
slap.
before 9:30, after Johnny hit me with the phone.
Okay. Actually, now that I'm looking at it,
and let's go to Defendants
it is really
Exhibit
red.
709.
but she has like the whitest skin ever. Dude, I used to cry
And
so
based
bad
on
during
the
these.
court's
I'd wake up in the
ruling,
morning.
I'm going to ask if
My
you can get
eyes
that,
would be
Michelle,
so
please.
puffy from crying. It literally looked like somebody had hit me. My eyes would just be puffed out of my face. Not from being hit, but just from crying so drastically for
I'll move the
hours
admission of
before,
709.
that it could have
Any
looked like
objection?
somebody hit
Not
me.
with redactions. Thank you.
709 with redactions and evidence, you would publish?
If it could be published to the jury, Your Honor. Thank you.
Yes.
And Your Honor, for the record, this is the photo that was shown to Officer Sines and to Officer Haddon as Exhibit 25 for both of their depositions.
Yeah, see, this could be totally
Amber, could you please
misconstrued for
describe
crime.
the jury what's depicted here?
It does look really red right
That
there.
is my face
Yeah.
after
Yeah, she could have gotten,
after the phone
Yeah.
incident. That's that night.
I could see that.
All right, let's bring Defendant 710, please. And Your Honor, I'm going to move the admission of Exhibit 710. The redactions have been already placed
All right.
on it.
Any objection?
No objection.
All
Thank
right,
you.
710 with the redactions, you can publish?
If we could publish, Your Honor. And for the record, this photo was shown to Officer Sines and Officer Haddon. It was Exhibit 26 for both of their depositions. And please describe for the jury what's depicted here, Amber.
That is my face in
Yet a different light that same evening.
Yeah.
After
Okay,
Johnny hit
Amber,
me
I
with
give
the
it
phone.
to you. That definitely looks like a hit.
Let's go ahead and go to Defendants.
One side is
Exhibit
puffier than the
711.
other. Notice how red her other side of her face is still, though, from crying. Still equally as red, but the other side is puffy. That's the difference. Definitely looks hit. I agree.
And I'm going to move the admission of 711, Your Honor, with the redactions.
All right, any objection?
No
All
objection.
right, 711 with redactions and evidence, publish.
And for the record, Your Honor, for the jury's purposes, this was shown to Officer Sines and Officer Haddon as Exhibit 27 to both of their depositions. Could you describe what's depicted here, Amber?
Yes, that is another angle, another lighting of my face after the phone.
Yeah.
That evening.
And when you say angular lighting, what did Rocky do in taking these pictures?
Objection calls for speculation.
I said, what'd she do?
Overrule.
Thank you.
Raquel took pictures of my face in various places around the penthouse. The apartments have really different lighting, you know, really dark in some places. Anyway, so we just took pictures in different lighting so that we had an accurate portrayal and depiction of what had happened.
And why did you take the pictures?
Raquel did it to protect me because the cops were coming, and we knew that the police. I think at this point that they were already here. They were with us, but we weren't. Maybe this was right before. I'm not quite sure without seeing the timestamp, but we weren't sure what was going to happen, what the police were going to say, what they were going to do. We didn't know what Johnny was going to do, what he was going to say. So she wanted to protect me.
Okay, so let's go ahead and bring up 712. All right, now move the admission of 712, Your Honor.
All right, any objection?
No, thank you, Your
All
Honor.
right, 712 with redactions, you can publish.
Thank you, Your Honor. And please describe what's depicted here.
That is another picture of my face,
Okay,
taken around the same time.
okay. And then let's go to 713. Move the admission of 713, Your Honor.
All right, any objection?
No objection.
All right, 713 with redactions and publish.
And for the record, this one was shown to Officer Sines and Officer Haddon as well as Exhibit 29 to both of their depositions. And just describe briefly to the jury what this is.
This is another picture of my face taken at the exact same time and in the same location as the other one, just with one of the lights turned on or an additional light turned on in the previous one.
Okay, let's go to 714. Move the admission of 714, Your Honor.
No objection.
All right, 714 with redactions and publish.
And please tell the jury what this depicts.
This is another
Angle of my face or another picture of my face taken at a different time.
Yeah, that looks
I don't
good.
know if this is
That was a couple days
later or
later.
before because I can't see the time on it.
Okay. If you take that down, let's go to 715.
That looks like a couple days after. It starts to bruise.
I'm going to move the admission of 715, Your Honor.
No objection.
All right, 715 with redactions and evidence and publish.
Thank you. And for the record, this one was shown to Officer Sines and Officer Haddon as Exhibit 17 for both. Please describe for the jury what's depicted here.
That is a picture of my face. Some point later on in the night, it looks like that was taken in Rocky's apartment or the apartment that she was staying in.
Okay. And let's go to 716. Move the admission of 716.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right. 716 evidence as redacted.
Dude, it's pouring down right
And
now.
Amber, could you please tell the jury what this picture depicts?
What is that?
Yes, it's the business card that one of the police officers left for me in case I changed my mind and wanted to comment.
And with the
Pictures
pictures
that we have just seen before this, were they taken before the pictures of the police card, the card that was left after, or do you know?
I
Objection,
think
compound,
it's not,
and calls for
Your Honor,
speculation.
compound is only,
Overruled.
thank you.
we took pictures before, during, and after.
And the question I had for you is the pictures you've seen so far, were those taken before, at the time of this, before this card was presented to you and you took the picture, after, or do you know?
Some of them were, but without seeing all the timestamps, I can't tell exactly.
Okay, that's fair. Thank you. Okay. And
She
then I'm gonna
clearly
ask you to
said
take this
some
one
of them
down
were
and go to
days after.
717.
This lawyer, her lawyer, she needs a new lawyer, dude. She should have gotten a male lawyer. That's what she should have done.
And I'm going to ask you, I'm going to move the admission of 717, Your Honor.
Any objection?
No objection.
All right, 717 is redacted in evidence. Published.
Thank you. And please just briefly describe to the jury what this is.
The two officers that first responded left me that card. This is the front of the business card they left.
Can you tell the jury, just explain what the interaction was that you had with the police officers?
Just describing what you observed as they came through.
I feel like it's too much girls against boys. If she had a
I
male
did not want to
lawyer, I
speak
think
to
it would be
them.
stronger for her.
I asked that Raquel's partner or husband asked them to go away without speaking to me.
And just so the jury understands who was who was Raquel's fiance at that time.
His name is Josh Drew, and he and Raquel lived in the apartment at Johnny's invitation
Across the hall from us. Raquel had keys. We kind of shared keys. They were our neighbors, but had keys to our house.
Okay. So why didn't you want to cooperate with the police?
Because
Those are pretty.
I wanted to protect Johnny. I
those
didn't
are
want him to
pretty-
be arrested. I didn't want him to be in trouble. I didn't want the world to know.
I don't know. He looks really confident still, though.
I didn't want this to come out.
It could be a
I
different
didn't want
explanation
him
for
to
those
be in
pictures.
trouble. I didn't want this to be. I wanted to protect Johnny.
She could have fallen
Let's,
in
go
a
to,
drunken rage.
Defendants Exhibit 1374.
He could have accidentally fallen into her. Like anything could have happened.
That's 1374. One moment, Your Honor.
All right.
Totally agree.
Thank you.
But if you knew me in my
Move
ex
the admission of
relationship,
1374A, Your Honor.
dude,
Objection.
I acted like
No
a
objection.
crazy psychopath
1374
because of
in
him.
evidence. 1374A in evidence.
Like an
you.
insane person.
And Amber, what is this?
It's another picture of my face after Johnny threw the phone at it.
Okay. And then let's go to 1493T.
I'm pretty sure Johnny admits to actually throwing the phone. I know he had a reason for it. I don't remember.
And move the admission of.
And this is the only pictures she really
1493T.
has.
No objection.
All right, 1493T in evidence.
And what does this depict?
This is a picture of
Looks like a
my
bruise.
eye, my face after that incident. Perhaps by the lighting, it looks like it might have been taken the next day, but I can't tell for sure.
Okay.
I think they're both
And then
pretty
let's go to
spoiled.
1493S.
I mean, they're both super toxic, both codependent, both come from abusive homes. They never should have gotten married. Super toxic.
Move the admission of 1493S.
Just because somebody's an asshole
1493S in evidence.
does not mean that they hit people.
And what does this depict?
And this is another picture of my eye and side of my face.
It's not the same thing.
Now, were there also pictures taken of the property that you described, Mr. Depp, destroying or damaging?
Yes, there were.
Okay. Michelle, can you bring up Defendants Exhibit 700? And based on your Honor's rulings, we will take off the metadata. Move the admission of Defendants Exhibit 700.
No objection with redaction.
700 with redactions, you can publish.
Can you please describe for the jury what's depicted in this photo?
Yes, my friend was preparing for a bead show and had displays to show these bead necklaces she made.
And she needed some counter space in order to kind of set up the displays that she was going to use the next day. So she asked me earlier in the day if she could use the free counter space in that penthouse 5, to kind of set up those display racks. They were set up in that room when Johnny went in there to destroy things, as he does.
And this depicts some of that damage?
Yeah, security let him in, even though I had asked
Objection,
security
Your Honor,
not to.
speculation
I don't think that was speculation.
and lack of foundation.
I'll sustain as a foundation if you want.
Okay.
Why would my picture need
So-
to be bigger?
What's depicted?
We wanna
and what's
see
the damage
this.
that was done?
because
You crazy.
Johnny would always smash up my things and destroy my property. When he was mad at me, I had asked that they not let him in so that he could do that. I mean, the only purpose for him to be let into
Penthouse 5 in that state. He doesn't have property in there. The only reason for him to go in there would be to destroy it. And they, of course, let him into Penthouse 5
Objection, Your
so
Honor,
that he could go.
Yes, ma'am.
lack of foundation.
All right, I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
Just tell the jury what he did here that's depicted in this.
This is just a one corner of the room that shows the destruction. He just went in there with this bottle swinging and smashed a bunch of things.
Objection, Your Honor, this is speculation.
All
She
right.
hasn't established that she was there.
I'll sustain if you want to lay a foundation. It's fine.
Okay. Did anybody else, to your knowledge, go in there and do this?
Objection, Your Honor. Calls for
I'm
speculation.
trying to lay the foundation here.
I'll sustain the objection. Next
Well,
question.
let's do this. Never mind. We'll let somebody else tell who did it. Okay.
Sure.
Just all I'm asking here is what is the damage? What has been done that's depicted here?
This is just one of Raquel's bead racks that he
Objection, Your Honor, speculation.
I'll sustain the
All right,
objection.
let's go to 701.
That didn't even look bad. That was such a dumb picture. Somebody smashes all your shit and you're going to take one little corner of a picture that looks like a pillow. I'm sorry. This
admission
is
of
just, I
701.
feel like we're just pulling
With redaction, no objection.
All right.
We're just
701 with redactions
pulling
and evidence.
anything.
Thank you. Amber, can you please describe what's depicted here?
Like she just went through her camera roll.
Yeah, it is our bedroom at penthouse 3, the main penthouse. Looks like he was just throwing things.
Objection, Your Honor, calls for
Sustain.
This
speculation.
looks like they
objection.
moved in.
Just describe what
have
you see
picture
here as
frames on the
opposed to
bed.
What you say he did.
I see a bunch of art
laying on the bed.
tossed on the bed.
Okay, where was
could
that
be
art
laying on the
before
bed.
Mr. Depp was at your house?
My
on
bed
May
has looked like
21,
that when I'm cleaning or
2016?
rearranging before.
Hanging on the wall where it belongs.
So he just nicely took these off the wall and laid them on the bed. None of them are
So can you bring
broken.
up Defendant 702, please?
I'm sorry, but like, Who cares? Commie jackasses.
Oh, Your Honor, and I forgot on the last two for
Bruh,
Defendants Exhibit
why are you
700,
listening
that was
then?
shown to Officer Sines and Haddon. It was
Go find
Exhibit
something else to
39
do.
both of theirs.
What's up?
And Exhibit 701 was shown to Haddon only, and that was Exhibit 30 in his deposition. I move the admission of 702, please.
All right, any objection?
No objection.
All right, 702 with redactions.
Thank you, Your Honor. And let the record reflect this was also shown to Officer Haddon as deposition exhibit number 40.
What is this?
And can you please describe for the jury what's depicted here?
This looks like
Yes,
the dog urine.
It's broken glass from one of the broken pictures that were hanging on the wall.
And where is this physically?
This is in penthouse 5 on the stairwell.
Okay. Michelle, can you bring up defendants? 73, please?
That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah. I'm sorry. I feel like she just went through her camera roll and just tried to find
Move the
anything.
admission of defendant 703.
She's like, well, this was when I was rearranging my room. I'll just
No
say
objection.
he.
All right, 703 with redactions, you can publish.
Thank you, Your
Nobody
Honor.
does
And
that.
let the record reflect that this was shown to Officer Sines and Officer Haddon.
What is
as
this?
Exhibit 41 for both of their depositions.
Some scuffs.
Amber, please describe for the jury what's depicted here.
It's another photograph of the stairwell in the same apartment, penthouse 5, and which is the apartment where I kept my things.
Go ahead. What is
And
it?
is that glass on the stairway?
Yes, from one of the broken picture frames on the wall. We had a lot of I had a lot of picture frames on the walls, and many, if not most of them, were smashed.
I didn't even see glass.
Let's take this one down and go to 704.
I didn't even
please,
see glass.
defendants. Michelle, thank you.
Exactly. That's exactly what I saw was scuff marks that everybody has on their
Move the
stairs.
admission of defendant 704.
No objection.
All right,
Oh.
704 with redactions, publish.
Thank you.
I
and
don't
let the
know.
record
I just-
reflect that this
I'm
was shown
not
to both
buying
Officer
it, bruh.
Sines and Haddon as exhibit 34. to
This
both
looks
their
like the
depositions.
same glass.
And Amber, please describe for the jury what's depicted here.
Just another piece of glass. It looks like the base of a wine glass. That is in penthouse 3, the main apartment.
And when you
No
say
glass
wine
anywhere
glass,
else.
Did you see this particular?
Just one or two
glass.
pieces of glass.
There were glasses
on the rug.
in the kitchen, and always. And when Johnny was walking out, I saw him myself swinging the magnum-sized bottle, and I could hear glass breaking. And
And it went
things falling.
nowhere except for just on the rug right
Thank
there.
you. Michelle, can you? bring up
No
705,
glass
please?
pictures anywhere else. I'm not buying this. I'm just not. I'm so sorry, guys. These are so weak.
Move the admission of 705.
No redaction. No, excuse me, no objection.
All right,
And let,
705 in evidence.
Thank you.
Thank you, go ahead.
and let the record reflect this was shown to Officer Haddon in exhibit 36 of his deposition. Amber, can you please describe for the jury what's portrayed here?
Things knocked over on the kitchen countertop, and I see pieces of broken glass on the countertop as well.
Let's go to 707.
She's having trouble with her eyes today. She keeps touching them. Her like contacts are messed up.
Move the admission of 707.
Any objection?
No objection, Your
All
Honor.
right, 707 with redactions and evidence, thank you.
And let the record show that both Officer Sines and Officer Haddon were shown this picture. It was
What is
exhibit 18 of both their
this?
depositions.
This looks like
Amber,
blood.
could you please describe to the jury
Wine.
what's depicted here?
Spilled wine.
This is the hallway leading leading up to the apartments. So this is the hallway that connects all of the apartments.
And it
It's
has
kind of an indoor
stains
outdoor
on it.
sort of hallway.
Just like
meaning
my
it's
apartment
covered,
did.
but it's exposed on the far ends of
What's
both,
on it?
to the elements. So this is not carpet. It's like a plasticky.
Oh, it's plastic.
I
Okay.
don't know how to describe the material. It's like a plasticky kind of
Vinyl.
netting, not netting, it's difficult to describe, but it's a kind of an outdoor sort of carpet.
Oh,
Right,
so it
and
is a
what's
carpet.
depicted there?
One on the floor
Spilled one.
and a little on the wall, it seems.
Yeah,
Okay.
because he's wasted all the time.
Let's go to 718, please.
He could have spilled that at any time, bruh.
Move the admission of
All these
718.
pictures. Last
No objection.
time,
Right, 718
pictures,
with
weak
redactions.
pictures. This time,
Let the
weak
record reflect this was
pictures.
shown to Officer Sines and Officer Haddon in Deposition Exhibit 31 for both of them. Amber, please describe for the jury what's depicted here.
It's another photograph on the floor, not the wall. This one appears to be remarkably unbroken.
Okay. Let's go to 719, please.
I mean, this is like I could do all of this in my house right now and then just put my house back together. It looks like one thing broke and
With the
she moved the
admission of
glass from
defendant
one place to
719.
another place. She took all the pictures
No
off the
objection.
wall,
Right,
put them on the
719 with
floor in the bed,
redactions. Thank you.
and then just put
Thank
them all
you,
back
Aaron.
up
And
again.
then let the record reflect that this was shown to Officer Sines and Haddon in their depositions Exhibit 35 to both.
What is this?
And Amber, please just describe for the jury what's depicted here.
It's one corner of the kitchen in penthouse 3. Looks like one of the things that was knocked off of the kitchen island when Johnny left.
Some bananas got thrown onto the
Let's
floor.
go to Defendant 720, please.
Thank you, Michelle.
Oh my God. I'm just like, I don't know.
Move the admission of Defendant 720
No objection.
All right, 720 with redactions.
and let the record reflect, Your Honor, this was shown to Officer Sines and Haddon, Deposition Exhibit 43 to both. Amber, could you please describe to the jury what's depicted here?
That's my office. It's a corner of my office. And that is a box of like sentimental things from my childhood or things that are important to me. Keepsake box that has been dumped out, it looks like.
Okay. Let's go to Defendant 721.
It's like she took all this time to take all these pictures of like things the whole time. Johnny Depp wasted, things that are broken, but like all these times where she's saying she's getting hit
No objection, Your Honor.
and like
721
bottles
redactions.
getting shoved up her.
Thank you, Your Honor.
She took
And let
no
the record reflect
pictures.
This was shown to Officer Sines and Haddon in Deposition Exhibit 44 for both. Amber, please describe for the jury what this depicts.
It's again my office, same thing, different angle.
Okay. Let's go to 722.
This is just so dumb, girl. Why didn't you take pictures of the sexual assault, of the blood coming out of your areas when you said he was punching you in the
Defendant's
face
Exhibit
over and
722.
over and over
No
again?
objection, Your
All
Honor.
right, 722 with redactions. And
Why are you
Let
taking
the record reflect
pictures?
this was shown to Officer Sines and Officer Haddon as Deposition Exhibit 42 to both.
Look at all these
Amber, please
pictures she
describe
has
to
of
the jury
this.
what's depicted here.
That's a picture of my friends and I when we were at that London house that Johnny punched.
You saw him punch this.
I heard it.
Okay.
Oh, it is. It's broken.
All right, let's
You
go to
guys might not be able to
723,
see it.
please.
It did look punched. She's right. Okay, he punched it. Oh, dude, I feel bad for her. She's got something in her eye. Dude, that sucks. I hate that.
Move the admission of Defendant 723.
any objection?
No objection.
All right, 723 redacted in evidence.
Let the record reflect this was shown to Officer Sines and Haddon in their depositions, Exhibit 38 for both. Amber, please describe for the jury what's reflected.
One of the, it looks like a Magnum bottle of wine that is
That she placed on the
empty
floor.
or spilled on the floor.
Oh.
Can you tell where that is located?
I feel like this is making
Looks like it
her
would be
look-
penthouse.
all
5.
these pictures. I get it, but
Let's
it's
go to
making
724.
her look dumb for not taking pictures of her own body. Like, why is there not pictures when he smashed her face in? Why does she remember to
Move the
take
admission of
pictures of a
defendant
bottle on the
724.
ground, but
No
not
objection.
All right, 724,
him
redaction.
punching her?
Let the record reflect this was shown to Officer Sines and Haddon as their deposition exhibits 33. Amber, please tell the jury what's depicted here.
This is more wine that Johnny was spilling as he was using
She
the
literally took a picture of
using the bottle
all
he was
the
holding
things.
as a bat of sorts.
It's like
Let's go to 725.
100 pictures of things and Johnny. And I think we've seen 6 pictures
We're almost done.
of
Just two
her,
more.
of just random bruising. Even though there's been fight after fight after
With the
fight
admission
after
of
fight
defendant
that she's talked
725.
about,
No objection.
All right,
with him
725
hitting
for
her,
redaction.
slapping
Let the
her,
record reflect this was
punching
shown to
her.
Officer Sines and Haddon as deposition exhibit 37 to their depositions.
Like they could
Amber,
have come
please
in
tell
from the
jury what's
swimming
depicted
pool.
here.
This looks like they came in
More
from the
spilled
swimming
wine on the
pool.
floor. This looks like Penthouse 5.
This is so
Okay.
dumb.
And the last but not least, Michelle, please, defendants 726.
I get it, but this is weak, Amber. Super weak.
Move the admission.
No objection.
Okay.
Your Honor, I believe the jury needs a tissue.
Oh, okay, thank you. We will get a tissue. Yes, thank you, Alyssa. All right, no objection, 726 with redactions. Thank you.
Wow, one of the juries is getting triggered really bad. That's not
All
good
right,
for
and let the
Johnny.
record reflect that this one was shown to Officer Hines and Haddon as deposition 32.
Oh,
exhibit to
somebody in
their
the jury's
depositions.
crying.
And Amber, please just describe to the jury what's depicted here.
Oh,
More spilled wine on the floor. Penthouse 3 appears.
dude, that's not good.
Thank you.
That's not good for
Now-
Johnny.
When the police officers were there, did either of them take you aside by yourself and talk with you?
Yes.
Good.
Which one or both?
The male officer I did not have much interaction with. The female officer said she needed to speak to me by myself, pulled me aside. We went into Penthouse 3, the main penthouse, to speak there because I had been in Penthouse 1, Raquel and Josh's apartment up until that moment.
Okay. And then what, if anything, did she ask you?
She asked me if I would make a statement, if I would cooperate. She kind of indicated to me, I don't remember if it was what word she said, but she kind of gestured to my face and
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
I think she could, if she gesturing to her face is not hearsay,
I'll
it's not a
sustain-
statement.
I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
Okay. And it's also not offered to prove the truth of the matter.
I'll sustain the
Okay.
objection. Next
So what happened next?
She stood up for herself. It's good.
I
Let's do this. How long were you with the officer when she took you aside?
a few minutes, if that.
Okay. And as a result of that, did you cooperate?
A few minutes.
No, I did not, but it was my understanding that I couldn't stop them from walking through the apartment, which is what they indicated to me.
Okay. And were you with them when they walked through the apartment?
No, Josh, I was with them at the beginning of Penthouse 3. Josh, Raquel's partner, took over from there and showed them around the house up through Penthouse 3, which connects on the top floor to the neighboring apartment, Penthouse 4, and then on to Penthouse 5. They all connect on the top level. So Josh walked the officers through the house.
Okay. And what, if anything, did you say about the identity of Mr. Depp?
Nothing.
Were you asked?
Yes.
Or you refused to tell them?
Objection leading.
Sustain.
Okay. Why did you refuse to tell the police officers Mr. Depp's identity?
Because I did not want them to arrest Johnny. I did not want this to happen. I did not want any of this to happen. I didn't want to get him in trouble. So I said, well, I just refused to cooperate.
Okay. Now, approximately how long were the police officers there?
I don't recall exactly, maybe I'd say less than half an hour. I really don't know exactly, but they weren't there very long at all.
Okay. Now, after the police officers
I don't
left,
know.
what
And I don't know if
did you
he's
do?
going to take the stand. He already took
We
the
cleaned
stand.
up a bit because there was
So-
broken glass and we had dogs.
Amber
So we tried to clean up the mess, and especially the glass.
is going to have a bunch of
Um,
witnesses coming up
Josh, Rocky, Liz, and I, we kind of just cleaned up
to
and
collaborate
eventually,
everything she's saying.
Sat on the couch and they just tried to comfort me.
Hopefully they have more pictures.
What, if any, knowledge
Maybe
did
they
you
have
have that
pictures.
there was going to be a second set of officers coming later that night?
I didn't know about that. That surprised me.
When did you learn that a second set of officers were coming to the penthouse that night?
I think I learned about it when they were there, when they arrived.
Okay. And we've seen the body worn video on that. Is there anything that you recall outside of what was reflected on Officer Gateland's body worn video?
I couldn't see much of what was on that video. I just, I remember being surprised that they were there, not really knowing why they were there. I assumed it was because I was encouraged to make a statement by the first set of officers.
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
All right,
Just
I'll
keep
stay
going
with the objection.
forward. Okay.
And I was sitting on the couch. It was sometime hours, maybe between an hour, 2 hours, maybe more. I don't really recall, but we had cleaned up and we were resting and they were comforting me when they came. And they didn't seem to, they didn't do what the first set of officers did. They just kind of came into the apartment, confirmed that that I was okay or that we were okay. They didn't really seem to be that concerned. And they didn't demand to do a walkthrough like the first set of officers had. And they left.
Okay. And what, if any, cooperation did you give them?
Well, I didn't need to. I didn't really cooperate with them. I didn't talk to them. I didn't even get up off the couch. I was speaking to them from a quite a bit of a distance, like between you and I, and maybe more. And I didn't really say anything. I just kind of acknowledged that they entered and that was it.
Did you provide them with Mr. Depp's name?
No way.
Did they ask?
No.
All right. I'm going to take you to the next day, May 22. And I'm going to, Michelle, can you bring up Defendants Exhibit 772? What, if any, efforts did Mr. Depp make to reach out to you the day after this happened?
Well, he made several efforts. Immediately, he kind of reached out and lashed out. Again, kind of going on what seems to be a slightly delusional thinking
That just because he saw my friend's beads out on the countertop, that it had become a workshop or a studio for her. So he seemed angry about, this perception that this bead display that my friend had set up was evidence of her running some sort of workshop. And he also accused us of having invited someone else to live there who wasn't living there, who was just in the apartment when Johnny stormed in. So he just kind of lashed out, and then the tone changed in the days that followed.
And let me stop you there. So I'm going to ask you to take a look at Defendants Exhibit 772. And is this a text message from Mr. Depp to you?
Yes, it is.
And it's on 5/22 at 12:23 a.m. So it's early morning hours after 5/21. Would that be fair?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'm going to move the admission of defendant 772.
No objection.
All right, 772 in evidence with the identifiers redacted and published. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. All right, and I know you started to talk about this, Amber, but it says, I'm an idiot, PH5 is Rocky's studio. You are shameless. You see that?
Yes.
Okay, was that what you were talking about with him thinking that you're,
Yes.
okay? And then, obviously, we can read that he says, I tried to make it work. You just turned more and more into a spoiled brat. All you wanted was to make me fucking miserable. Well, I'm finally there. I'll never be able to understand how I fell in love with you. You're not her. I loved you more than anything. I did everything that I could, but you never fucking loved me. I was merely convenient for you. I hope our divorce goes as quickly as possible and that it is as painless as possible. So sorry you were as unhappy with me as you were. Obviously, the purity of whatever was has been gone for a long time. I will miss the moments of beauty and truth. Goodbye, Amber. What the fuck was I thinking? I wish you all you merit. The former him. What, if any, discussions did you have with Mr. Depp about divorce that night?
We did not have a discussion about that that evening. We didn't have time. He was obsessed with dog poop.
Okay.
That's what he wanted to talk about.
All right, let's take this down and let's go to Defendants Exhibit 773.
I feel like she's really making eye contact with some of these jurors. They're really having empathy for her.
No, this is a text exchange between you and Mr. Depp. It starts with Mr. Depp on 5/21 at 6:58 p.m. just saying here. Does that refresh your recollection of when he arrived at your penthouse on May 21?
Yes.
Okay. And then the next series are on 5/22. They start at 5:13. And you're discussing talking. You said, sorry, I'm just leaving Amanda's birthday now. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
All right. And then he responds to that, correct?
Yes.
All right, Your Honor, I'd like to move the admission of defendant 773.
Your Honor, if we could just have a minute to review this exhibit.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it just this page?
No, there's
3 pages.
3 pages.
I'm just reading Michelle's hands.
I'm going to be cutting off in about a little under
All right,
20,
773
about 20 minutes,
in evidence with identifiers redacted. Thank you.
so everybody knows.
Thank you.
And if we could, okay, we've got it published to the jury. So let's go to the top, Michelle. And so it starts out with him. This is the 5/21, 6:58 p.m. saying he's there, correct?
Yeah, but I think he came in later than that. Took him some time.
Okay. And then if we move up, the next one is you at 5:22 at 5:13 p.m., correct?
Yes.
And then you say, thank you. And then can we still speak in a min? What do you recall of why you sent those texts?
I believe we had spoken on the phone, or I can't control this, correct? The screen. I don't know.
We
what
can
had
give you control. Yes, maybe we should do that and clear out my purples.
I just don't know what was sent right before this.
Go ahead, go ahead. Your Honor, can
Well,
we
she can't
give?
scroll. She's asking to scroll.
Okay, Michelle, let's have you scroll if you can. Just go ahead and scroll through just slowly so she can read the whole thing.
Okay, makes sense.
All right, does that help refresh your recollection?
Yes, I believe that I believe he had apologized to me after the phone incident. I had commitments that I had to attend the following day on the 22nd. So the beach show I referenced, I mentioned to you, I had to go to. I would also had to bring a cake to a friend's birthday party. So I had things I unfortunately had to do that day. And I remember there was communication with Johnny, both by phone and by text, where he was telling me that he was clean, that he was sober, he was clear mind, it wasn't the monster, and that he was so sorry. But I had already committed to filing for divorce. And eventually I have to let him know that it's not just saying it in the anger, in the fights that like we had done, both he and I did that at times in some of our fights, especially towards the end of our relationship. And so I let him know that I was serious about filing this time, and that I had had enough after the phone.
Objection, Your Honor,
I had
hearsay.
enough.
Okay.
Overruled. Go ahead.
All right, I'm going to draw your attention to the bottom of the page, Defendants Exhibit 773. And this is at 5:22, so this is 6:19 p.m. Do you see that? 5:22? And he says, just let me know when you have a minute and I'll give you a call. Nothing I have to say, you should elicit anything but a sense of ease. Do you see that?
Yes.
And then he says, all my love and profound apologies. What was he apologizing for?
Objection,
Do you
calls
know?
for speculation.
What was your understanding of what he was apologizing for?
Speculation, Your Honor.
I'll sustain the objection.
Okay. In his phone call with you, did he tell you what he was apologizing for?
Yes.
What did he say?
He was sorry that he reacted the way he did. He said he didn't mean to hurt me. He didn't mean to hurt me. If he really hurt me that bad, he's sorry. That he didn't mean to.
Okay. Michelle, if we can go to the next page. Up to the green, please. And he says here, I'm sad, I'm scared, and I'm broken, my sweet Slim. And then he says, I want you happy. I have zero harsh feelings. I am clear and I am me. What did you understand him to mean by I am clear and I am me?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for speculation.
Do you
I
have
know
an
what he
underst-
meant.
Okay.
Your Honor,
Did he
there's
use
a lot.
that phrase with you?
I'll hold on. I'll sustain that objection.
I'm
You
trying to
next-
get to the
I
next
know.
one here.
Then you can ask your next question. Go
Thank
ahead.
you. Did he use those phrases with you during your marriage?
Yes, he did.
What did Mr. Depp mean when he says I am clear and I am me?
Objection, calls for speculation.
I think I established the foundation.
Overruled. Go ahead.
Thank you.
That he had sobered up. That he had sobered up and he was not the monster again, that he was him. that he was a good guy I loved, the one that I trusted.
All right, now I'm going to ask Michelle if you can take that one down and bring in 771, which has already been admitted. Now, those text exchanges were in the 6 o'clock to almost 7 o'clock range. And here it's 5:22, it's now 8 o'clock, correct?
Yes.
And he's telling you, sorry if a bit, please know that my hurt towards you is over. My apologies are eternal and belong to you. Solid. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay. And was it your understanding he was apologizing again?
Objection, Your Honor. Calls for speculation.
All right, I'll sustain the objection.
Okay. Was there anything else he would have been apologizing for that he had done?
Objection, calls for
I'll
speculation.
sustain the objection.
That's it. Okay. So tell the jury how you felt in that week, May 22 through May 27, and what you decided to do.
At the time, it felt like the hardest thing I've ever had to do. I had worked so hard to try to make this relationship work. I went to therapy, I went to Al-Anon, I got help, I read books, I did everything I could possibly do, and it didn't work. And I was conflicted. To answer your question, I was conflicted. I knew after he threw the phone at my face that after all that month of not seeing each other, not getting better, not getting clean and sober, there wasn't even, I didn't, you know, it was falling apart. I knew I had to leave him. I knew I wouldn't survive it if I didn't. So I made the decision to file for divorce. It was hard because, you know, I loved Johnny so much. I loved him so much.
And why did you file for divorce?
Because I knew if I didn't, I'd likely not literally survive. I'm so scared that it was going to end really badly for me. And I really didn't want to leave him. I loved him so much. I would have done anything, but I couldn't do that one thing. I couldn't stay. The promise and the hope that
I had become less and less regular and more rare. The monster had been this thing that was now the normal and not the exception. The violence was now normal and not the exception. And it was so hard. It was so hard, but I knew I had to do it. I believe he would have taken it too far. I wouldn't be here.
Ooh, that was a tough statement
Why
right
did
there,
you ask
girl.
for a domestic violence temporary restraining order?
I wanted to change my locks. I wanted a good night's sleep. Security would always let him into the house no matter what I asked them, no matter when I begged them to let me know when he was coming over, no matter how much I begged them not to let him in when he was mad or drunk or high.
Here too.
And I couldn't sleep. I'd wake up in a panic. I was losing hair. I was losing weight. I got really sick. I had shingles. I couldn't sleep. I'd wake up in a panic attack. I had panic attacks all the time. I was falling apart.
That's the trauma. That
I was
would be
scared
trauma.
And very conflicted because the person I was scared of is also the person I was in love with. Really, really tricky.
That is tricky.
And I was thinking one step at a time. You know, I was thinking
Good job.
very myopically. I wanted just to get a good night rest, a good night's sleep. I just wanted to change my locks. I thought it'd be healthier if I got some sleep and I could think about what to do or how to handle this. If I just could sleep. And when I did, I realized
Obvious, like
That
she's
wasn't
telling the
enough.
truth, or obvious that she's
he
not?
could get in anyway. That the building wasn't going to stop him from getting a locksmith and coming in. I knew that he would do what he wanted.
Objection, Your Honor, calls for speculation.
Overruled.
Thank you.
All right, next.
Okay. So did Mr. Depp show up for the hearing on the DVTRO?
No, he didn't.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
And why did you show up?
Because I had to provide testimony for why I needed a restraining order.
What, if any, warning did you give Mr. Depp about obtaining the DVTRO?
We gave him warning. My counsel and his counsel were in communication, and we let them know. We had to. It was mandatory. It's my understanding of it. I'm not a lawyer.
Was there any confusion surrounding whether Mr. Depp was going to file suit as well?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for speculation,
I'm asking
lack of
for-
foundation.
I'll sustain as to foundation.
Did you have any confusion as to whether Mr. Depp was going to file as well?
So I filed for divorce on the 23rd, I believe, and I thought that when I went in that Tuesday, when we filed for it, remarkably, it managed to stay under the radar. You know, these filings are not private. You can't make them private in California. And remarkably, it had flown under the radar. No one picked up on the fact that I had filed. And as limited as it sounds now, I just wanted as much privacy as we could have. You know, one day at a time, I wanted as much privacy as we could possibly get. And the filing had been missed by TMZ and, you know, these paparazzi outlets and stuff. But between the communications between our counsel, I realized that Johnny was going to file in
Objection,
retaliation.
hearsay.
I'll sustain the objection.
I'm trying to think how to ask this. So, without saying what the counsel said, what was your understanding and what was your concern?
Objection, hearsay.
I'll sustain the objection.
All right, well, let's move on. Michelle, can you bring up Defendants Exhibit 800, please?
Didn't this lawyer like go to school? How does she not know how
With
to
the
ask
admission of
questions?
Defendants Exhibit 800?
I feel like
Any
this
objection?
woman like
No objection, Your Honor.
All right.
has no idea how to ask questions appropriately.
Amber, can you describe for the jury what this picture is?
It's a picture of my face while I'm sitting at the courthouse.
And were you wearing any makeup?
I was wearing nothing, not a stitch of makeup.
Michelle, can you bring up 801, please?
So Johnny Depp is saying that this is from Botox, and I actually looked this up. If you look it up, bruises from
With the
Botox.
admission of 801?
It
No
literally
objection.
looks like these women got beat the fuck up. Bad.
And Amber, if you can tell the jury what
Very
this is.
similar.
That's me while I was
She does look sad.
obtaining my restraining order. It's me in the courthouse.
Okay. And what, if anything, did you do while you were at the courthouse? Did you testify?
There's
I-
got to
I
be a way to
provided
tell if she
testimony
got Botox the day before.
and sat there and cried.
She's an actress.
Did you obtain a domestic violence restraining order? Temporary
I
restraining?
did. The court granted me a restraining order at that time.
Awesome.
When you left the courthouse, what did you experience?
I walked into the courthouse, it was quiet, first thing in the morning. No one knew about my divorce, so I thought it was going to stay that way, and I walked out to a sea of paparazzi and cameras, photographers. It was to that point, and I mean, at that point in my life, I had never seen so many photographers, and they just surrounded me as I walked out of that courthouse and screamed at me, screamed horrible things at me.
What would they be screaming, girl? You have bruises on your face. What were they screaming?
I'm going to take you just for a moment to.
What were they
makeup,
saying?
that would-
Exactly.
That'll be the breaking point after the makeup. You said that you didn't testify, you didn't wear any makeup that day. We've heard all kinds of things about makeup in this case. Could you please tell the jury what your regular routine was with respect to makeup?
Yes, I get up and wash my face, like most of us, and I put on right away a moisturizer that has tinted foundation in it. And then I put another foundation on because it has sunblock in it. I have a skin condition that my skin reacts to the sun in a bad way. So I have to wear sunscreen or sunblock every day. Anyway, so I put on both of those. I put on concealer. And I do that before I leave my bathroom in the morning. That's obviously if I don't have a bruise.
Now, when you had bruises or cuts of any nature, what would you do about those? Would you try to cover them up? Would you try to just leave them showing? What would you do?
Objection, Your Honor, leading.
Thank you.
Well, I am typically photographed in LA when I leave the house, paparazzi type of photograph. So I'm somewhat aware of that anyway. And no woman wants to walk around with a bruise on her face. So if I do have a bruise on my face or someplace visible, the main thing, you have to ice right away to reduce swelling because no amount of makeup can fix swelling, but it's very manageable if you ice it really soon. Arnica is also a great remedy, arnica cream. And then if you want to cover up a bruise, you obviously put foundation first, concealer, and then on top of that, I used a bruise kit. Not a bruise kit, it's a theater makeup kit, a color correction kit. I called it my bruise kit.
And let me, I use this, I think, in opening the statement, and it's Defendants Exhibit 1.
If you could fire the microphone, please, just to, we can hear you. There you go.
May I approach the witness to?
That's what you do, show counsel.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about as a color correction kit. This is not obviously the exact one I used to carry, but I used to carry it with me all the time. Sometimes this pink is sometimes a little bit more purple of a hue, and sometimes the kits are 3 colors. You can get them in 3 or 4 colors. Sometimes they have even more. But the idea is that you want to counteract whatever color you're working with on the bruise. So the first day of bruising, the immediate is red. Red is what shows up right away. So you want to go with the opposite on the color wheel by dabbing on a bit of the green or something to counteract the red. After a day or 2, you get more purple in a bruise. So you obviously have to go with more of the red tones, the orange tones here. Day 2 for me was always the trickiest because day 2 I feel like, day 1 and day 2 are hardest for me because that's when you get the most blues and purples and you have to deal with the sensitivity. Bruises don't like to be touched. That's the whole point. So that's the trickiest part. But after a few days, that becomes more of that blue becomes more of a brown, yellowish browns, like
All right, guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and head out. For those of you that joined me, thanks for hanging out with me. Always make sure that if you have any sort of something that doesn't quite feel right within your relationship, you got to talk to somebody. There's domestic violence hotlines. There is police. There are divorce lawyers. Depending on the threat within your relationship, making some sort of an escape plan of some sort where you are figuring out a way to collect money. I just did an awesome podcast with some beautiful multi-level marketing women who have done very well for themselves, selling products through a multi-level, a great way to really make money. In my relationship, it took me 4 years. 4 years to collect enough money to be able to leave. He had absolutely no idea that I was saving money under the radar with different companies and I was able to walk away. I was able to leave. I literally left his house with clothes, my son, and my bicycle, and completely started all over again. It was not easy. It was very hard. It was a lot of work. It was very stressful. But the amount of stress that I was living under, thinking of doing that for the rest of my life, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. No human has been put on this earth to live with another human who consistently puts them down, consistently makes them feel dumb, consistently name calls, consistently berates, manipulates, gaslights, lies, makes you feel inferior, reminds you of all that they've done for you. All tactics that these people use, whether you are living on your own or whether you have a family. If you have a family, you have to be thinking of your children, because your children will be affected tenfold, and it is your responsibility as a parent to protect children. Now, does that mean that you need to leave right now, right this second? No, that means that you need to start making a plan. You need to start talking to people, because it takes some time. It really takes some time. So I am going to go ahead and sign off. I hope that you guys are having a fantastic day. I will be back. Actually, I probably won't be back tomorrow. I've got a lot of stuff going on tomorrow. But always message me in my direct messages. I have my 15 sessions still going on. For those of you that are interested, I'm doing 15 one-hour sessions for a flat $500. It's literally the cheapest I have ever done coaching sessions for. It is a package that I am running right now, and it comes with a free planner. So my free 90-day Envision Your Best Life 90-day planner, it actually comes with this planner. I go through it with you, and we start getting your life in order. If you appreciate me, if you appreciate the way that I speak, the way that I teach, the way that I see the world, the things that I've been through, having me as your life coach would benefit you for sure. So it's a $500 flat fee. All you have to do is put this link. I believe it's also in the description, in the URL. Click on it, watch the video, read up on it, and purchase. I would love to coach you. Tons and tons of life experience in the realm of single motherhood, sobriety. I've been sober for going on 16, 17 years. Time management and organization, narcissistic abuse. These are all things that I can help you get over, move through into a more vibrant life. So contact me. I hope to talk to you soon. Adios.